Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time once again to circle the wagons because the Coon Prairie Ramblers are in the house. Yeah, we're going to confabulate, mind meander, and just talk about everything there is to talk about. And along with to help us to do that, them things we're going to talk about.
Yep.
We got Luke, the rebel without a clue.
What's left of him?
And we got me, the amiable, affable, fleet-of-foot mailman.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey, what was that word last night at church I said I was going to mention?
Belligerent? No, it wasn't belligerent.
No.
What was that? you were describing yourself somehow. I forget
Okay,
what.
I'll think
Genteel.
Genteel. The genteel mailman.
Yeah.
And we have a special guest.
We do.
We got Johnny George. What's your handle? Johnny George.
Shark Tank's own Johnny Georges, the farmer from Shark Tank.
There you go. The farmer
there you go.
from Shark
That
Tank.
should be ringing a bell with somebody
That's
else.
a tongue twister. I can't say that. The farmer from Shark
Farmer
Tank.
from Shark Tank.
We're glad to have you with us today.
Appreciate
Tell us a
y'all
little bit
having me.
about yourself.
Oh, I'm just like y'all.
You from here?
Yeah.
All right.
Arcadia.
There you go. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
No.
Johnny's no stranger to this radio station. He was here back when we had
8 years ago.
Yeah, 8 years
Jeff
ago.
was
And
here.
I think even I took over for Jeff Norris for a little while, about half a year, and Johnny came in and was there with me for one show.
Cool.
Yeah, if you remember that. I remember it.
Yeah.
Hello to Jeff if you're out there listening. Buddy, we miss you. Sorry
I
you moved
remember
away.
you at that show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was so silly back then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was,
yeah.
just fun.
Yeah.
It was. Well, a lot of people would remember your dad.
Rick Georges.
Yep, you might want to talk about him.
The Rainmaker.
The
The Rainmaker.
He was quite famous around
Hey,
here.
man.
I met him.
The inventor of the micro
I
sprinkler.
met him.
Yeah.
I was on the ARC board at the same time he was. You know.
Yeah.
Well,
But then he soon passed after that.
Well, they said to me on the show, when I was on the show, they said, "There ain't a contestant's ever been on this show that gave the credit to somebody else. They all said it's about them." And I was like, well, I just told the truth. They said, your daddy did all this. I said, he taught me everything I know.
That's right. Handed the reins over to you.
Well, he drove it into you. When I told him on the show, ain't nobody owe you nothing. Life's what you make it. He thoroughly believed in it. He believed that when he wasn't going to be on this earth anymore, that his boys should be able to walk in his shoes and to be able to wear them. Well, that's a lot easier said than done. Because, all them years, Dad getting the jobs and 20 years with him every day.
Right.
And my brother.
Well, we got some listeners probably that are not from around here, not familiar with that. But you tell us what kind of business your dad was in, what it was about.
Rick Georges, when he got out of high school, he was probably one of the greatest salesmen that ever walked the planet.
Yeah.
He was working 3 jobs when I was a little kid. Dishes at night, Firestone during the day. And doing herb superheaters, what they called it. He had they were heating Florida citrus with propane. Well, he got the idea that if he'd run the water, he could raise the temperature in the grove 3 degrees with the heat of the water, the mist of the water. So he come up with a micro sprinkler, and they all laughed at him. This was 1968.
Wow.
And I told him this is never going to work. They're not going to drill wells. And put in tubing and micro sprinklers. For people who don't know what micro sprinklers are, in all agricultural, especially when they're growing trees, they'll use what they call micro sprinklers or drip irrigation.
Right.
Drip irrigation was developed and designed, engineered by the Israelis. In the 60s, my dad was in Israel, and he saw the drip system. And he goes, well, I'd rather it spray. So he made a spray head for it instead of a dripper. So that's his claim to fame. It was called, my last name's Georges. The first micro sprinkler was called the Georgette. Get it wet with Georgette.
Yeah.
Georgia.
Get it wet.
And it had frost protection. So he started an industry called the microjet industry because they needed tubing, they needed wells, they needed pipe. They needed everything to put it in.
There still is drip.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I always thought that the spray was before the drip.
No. The drip was
it's the other
first.
way.
They developed that in Israel. And the micro spray, anybody can say what they want. I lived it. Rick Georges invented it, held the patent on it for 21 years. When he sold out, it was to Olson Irrigation. Don Olson, a guy I'd gone into business with. He's still in business in California, building filters and selling micro sprinklers.
Wow.
So the history of irrigation, I lived. So I don't need a card to tell me what it was about.
So it was developed around here, or is
Absolutely.
Yeah, right here.
In Winter Haven, Florida is where it was developed. The first microjet system put in this grove was Otto Varner's down here. Second was Mr. Burchard's, John and Alan Burchard's daddy. So that was the second one ever put in this county. The first microjet system put in this country, Rick George's.
Yeah. Was it hard to get them to sell on or buy into that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. At first, it was just because everybody used rows, where they would dig furrows and water their citrus
So he
with.
really was a salesman to have.
Well, he was an innovator. He was a real salesman. Well, what they learned was they could get them trees in production a whole lot quicker because they're watering each individual tree, the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Before the tree at the end didn't get as much water up there as they did at the front.
Or
Now they're all even.
Or you had some guy driving a truck with a big water tank behind it, doing it that way. That was very slow. One at a time.
You're doing 100,000 trees. By the time you'd have to have 100 water trucks to do 1,000 trees.
Exactly right.
Because in a water truck you can do 1,000 trees a day. By the way, average.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
and a real good driver can do 12 to 1,500. But that's not putting out a lot of water and not doing what you're supposed to do. But 1,000 is a good average a day.
right. But with the spray mist thing, you do them all at one time.
All at one time.
Yeah.
You can have them on a timer too, right?
Yeah.
There you
But
go.
everything's automated nowadays.
automated.
That's what the tree TP did. When in 1984, when Dad came up with the tree TP, it was because we were banking trees. We were taking dirt and shoveling around the trees, but you had to dig through roots and weeds.
That's
To
right.
get that dirt up there.
Well, you need to tell people out there what a tree TP is.
Oh, a tree TP is just a bucket we put around each tree.
Bucket with the bottom cut out.
Yep, we're containing the water. It's a water containment system for big ag. And what put it into perspective, if you have a blue micro sprinkler, which is 10.5 gallons an hour, and you're usually an average watering time for a farmer is between 8 and 10 hours to get about 1.5 inches of rain on the tree. I can contain that water 2 square foot where it needs to be on the new trees that we're planting, and water 15 minutes and get 1.5 inches of rain.
No kidding.
On that tree.
That makes all the difference in the world.
Well, you're not watering and fertilizing the weeds and grass anymore, and you don't need the herbicide to come back and kill it with.
That's right.
So it's a big environmental help.
Saving a lot of money too.
Oh, it's not just to the farmer. It's the money aspect.
Yes.
Because he's got that's what he has invested in. He has an investment here. He's invested into this farm. Getting to production. Every penny you save is a penny earned. So money saves, money earned.
That's right.
Without the TP, to put it in perspective, you're going to use 25,000 gallons of water per tree per year, average.
Goodness.
With it, you're going to use 800 gallons of water per tree per year. Math never lies.
That's crazy.
Wait a minute. I've got 5 macadamia trees in my yard. Now, you know where I got those.
Yes.
Well, they were given to me.
That's all right.
They
36
were
bucks a piece.
Like a little nut dropped off the tree and it sprouted up. That's what I got.
Volunteer.
Yeah, volunteer. I got 5 volunteers in my yard. So my method is I take a gallon of water and I walk it out there and I pour it on my little tree. So I'm gonna have to put 800 of those on there a year.
Well, if you average out how much water you put on there, if you're using 5 gallons, three days a week, that's about 800 gallons.
The old man in the cart, he told me to put a gallon of water a day on it.
Well, that'd be 365 gallons.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
If you didn't,
I should have done the math.
Math never lies. Well, what it is I just added up. When you do the real math, it's about 44,000 versus 800. But I say 25 just for argument's sake, because if I'm lying to the conservative side. I've had engineers tell me that.
Yeah.
And I said, you're really. I said, well, nobody believes that either. But nobody knows the math on microjets as usual unless you're an engineer. So.
Man, oh man.
Goodness.
That's how it works out.
Come a long way.
Come along.
Wow.
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Well, we're down to 30 seconds now, as our guest said. So we have to back on out of here, and we'll come back. We're going to talk some more about this industry and what's going on out there, because we'll have to find out about the time he was on television from coast to coast. So y'all sit tight. We'll be
Worldwide.
Worldwide, even.
Yeah,
We'll be
worldwide.
right back.
We're